So when someone comes up to you and they're like, TJ, WTF are you doing? How do you explain Web3 to them? How do you define it? How do you explain to them what exactly this space is?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, usually when people ask, I just say, oh, I'm doing like some crypto stuff. And they're just like, oh, that must be a scam. You're probably down really bad right now. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah. And then we brush off the conversation. But the people that are actually interested and like are really curious about it, I think about it as more so taking the technology that you have in like Web2, say like Facebook, Google, that type of stuff, like good tech that allows you to connect with people, to maybe even secure loans, do financial transactions, like anything that's like traditional, like world aspects of technology, and then bringing it into a higher level where it's more accessible by more people, more decentralized, and carries more risk, but has the greater opportunity for innovation. And that's what I like kind of start with when I describe Web3 to people, as like kind of this third generation of the internet where it's a lot easier to do certain things, but it obviously carries more risk in executing those functions. So like I use like a prime example of like one thing you could do with like Web3 is like say like the housing market. Web2, like the housing market right now is the greatest profits to make like generally in the housing market. And I'm no expert, so don't take this as financial advice at all, but the greatest like money moves in the financial market and the housing market can be like in properties that are in like prime real estate locations, and that usually are, I don't know, they could be like 500,000 plus. And then within this housing market, they've gone from like 500,000 to 1,000,000, right? So you can make like, I don't know, $500,000 off of a property, renovating it if it's in a nice area type of deal. That's not easily accessible to people that are living in like a lower income area of town, where their property might only be $200,000, and then they're doing a flip from 200,000 to 250 type of deal. They don't have the capital to go work and like be involved on a $500,000 house and flip it for 1,000,000. They're like taking $200,000 houses and flipping them for 250 maybe, both of which carry the same amount of risk, obviously. But I'd say the $500,000 house, like if it's in a nice prominent area, you're more likely to maintain like a base level of value, versus if you're buying like a more risky property in lower income of town, you're betting on the entire ecosystem of that town, like making huge strides of like the community getting better and improving to then get better returns on that house. But I think about Web3 as the possibility of, okay, you have this $500,000 house and you have tons of people who may only have, I don't know, $1,000 to $10,000 to invest, and they can fractionalize that property, have somebody renovate the property, and then sell the property for $1,000,000, and then have all that returns go back to all the holders. And basically it allows a lot of people who wouldn't have been able to compete in financial markets that are usually, I'd say, more beneficial to people of higher status and like higher monets, like people who have more money. Now these underdogs are more able to compete in these markets. And that's what I kind of like describe Web3 as, is like being able to give more technology and more power to those who previously didn't have it in our world type of deal.